Text, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottam Yoga. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham Ashvatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said that it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Adhaschordhavam prasritastasya shakha guna pravriddha vishay pravala adhascha mulani anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya-loke. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. Okay, let's read the next. So the Matajis can read first, and then Prabhujis can read.
Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes. Please.
Text 2, right?
3 and 4 together.
3 and 4 together. Hare Krishna, everybody. Na rupam asyeha tathopala bhayate nanto na chadir na cha sampratistha asvatham evam suviruddha mulam asanga sastrena dradhena chittava tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartani bhuya tam eva chadyam purusam prapade yataha pravirti prastrat purani. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. 5 also, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, and the others will read, so 2 each.
Okay.
Yes, Kashish Mataji can read, then Jyoti Mataji, Santa Mataji, and Vijaya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. Text number 5. Nirmana moha chita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvande vimukta sukha dukha sangye gachanta mudha padam vyayam tat. Translation: those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. 6. न तद्भास्यते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यत्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तत्धामं paramam mama. Translation: that supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by the fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Bhagavad pranams to all the devotees. Text 7. Manaivaamsho jivaloke jiva bhutah sanatanaha manashishtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Translation. The living entities in this conditioned world are my internal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Text 8. Shariram yadavapnoti yacchapi utkramatishvarah grahitvaitani samyati vayurvadhani dashaya. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Text 9. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grahanam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Text 10. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjyanam vagunanvitam vimudhamanu pashyanti pashyanti jnanachakshushaha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Thank you.
Any other Matajis want to read?
Mataji is ready.
11.
Okay, I can. Hare Krishna. यतन्तो योगमयस्यैन पश्यन्त्यात्मान्न व्यवस्थितं यतन्तो यप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः. The enduring transcendentalists who are situated in the self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose mind are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, for they may try to. यदादित्यगतं तेजो जगद्भाष्यतेऽखिलं यत चन्द्रमसि यत अग्नौ ततेजो विधिमामकम्. The splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, Prabhuji's turn. So 4 Prabhujis can read. Pravir Prabhu, you want to start? And then Rammohan Prabhu can read and 2 more devotees can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees, Dandot Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Text 13. Gama Vishya cha bhutani dharayami aham ojasha pushnami cha oshodi shama bhutva rasatmaka. Translation. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Text 14. Aham vaishyanara bhutva praninam devamashrita prana apana samyak ukta shamayukta pachami annam chaturbhidam. Translation. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Sarvasya chaham hridye sanivishto mata smritir jnanam Jnananam apohannam cha Vidaischa Saivid Aham Eva Vidyo Vedanta Krit Veda Vid Eva Chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Dvav imau purasya loke sharas chaksara eva cha shara sarvani bhutani kutasthyo sara uchatye. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Hare Krishna.
Ramya Prabhuji, would you like to read?
Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Uttama Purusha Svanya Bharameti Udarita Yoloka Trayam Adisya Vibhati Avyaya Ishvara. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered in the three worlds and is maintaining them. Yasmacharam atitoham aksharad apichottama atosmi loke vedecha pratita purushottama. Because I am transcendental, both beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person.
Thank you. So, Prabhu, you want to read last two?
Sure, Professor. Thank you. Hare Krishna devotees and Pranam all close to Srila Prabhupada. Text number 19. Yo mam evam asamuddho gnanati purushottamam sa sarvaved bhajanti mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting, he is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya naga etad buddhimam syat kratakratyascha bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Om Tat Sat iti Śrīmad-Bhagavad-Gītāshu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yoga Nama Panchodasha Adhyayah. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta translation of the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of yoga of the Supreme, the Person. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all the Vaishnavas for so nicely reading this wonderful chapter, Purushottam Yoga, glorifying the Lord Purushottama, this absolute person, supreme person. Okay, so we will start reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagvatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad-Bhāgavatam. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके bhaktir naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagvatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Gurave Gauri Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Govardhanadharam Vande Gopala Goparupinam Gokula Utsavam Ishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam Vande Namakana Shama Dvibhujam Muralidharam Pitambaradharam Devam Sharadam Purushottamam Aho Bhagyam Nanda Gopa Vrajokasa Yanmitram Paramanandam Purnam Brahma Sanatanam. So Lord Brahma was yesterday talking this beautiful prayer, and I would encourage everyone to please try to learn this verse. Very simple words. Aho Bhagyam. Very two words repeated. Great fortune. Upon whom? Kiska great fortune? Nanda Gopa Vraja Okasa, the residents of Vraja. If it would have been one Okasa, it also comes in the fifth canto, we read the word one Okasa. Sugriva Maharaj was speaking, we are one Okasa, we are the residents of forest. But Nanda Maharaj and Vrajavasis are called Vraja Okasa. That means they are the residents of Vraja. So all the Gopas, the Nanda Maharaj, great fortune, their great Bhagya means great fortune. Yan Mitram, whose? Mitra means friend. Yan Mitram, who was he? Paramanandam, the one who gives the topmost joy, the topmost bliss. And the last line explains the three qualities out of the infinite qualities of the Lord. Purnam, Brahma, Sanatanam, PBS, you can remember. Okay? Aho Bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Vrajokasa. Yan Mitram Paramanandam Purnam Brahma Sanatanam. So that's the homework. If you feel inspired, you can try to learn text 32. It's a memory verse. And it's also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are about 400 or 500 verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as it is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? Because they're important. Very simple. They're more important. Everyone is important. So with that, we will study the next verse, chapter 14, text number 35. We read till 34 yesterday, where Lord Brahma is actually aspiring to be even an animal, but in the house of a devotee, so that the bhakti can continue, so that he can continue to experience the nectar, the honey of the lotus feet of the Lord. Through whom? Through the devotees. And we also discussed about the dust of the lotus feet of Vraja and the Vaishnavas. Esham Ghosha Nivasinam Uta Bhavan Kim Devarat Rateti Nash Cheto Vishwa Falat Phalam Tvat Aparam Kutrapi Ayanmuyati Sadveshad Iva Putanapi Sakula Tvam Eva Deva Pita Yadhamartha Suhrit Priyatma Tanaya Pranashyastvat Krite. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My mind becomes bewildered, just trying to think of what reward other than you could be found anywhere. You are the embodiment of all benedictions, which you bestow upon these residents of the cowherd community of Vrindavan. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putana and her family members in exchange of her disguising herself as a devotee. So, what is left for you to give these devotees of Vrindavan, whose homes, wealth, friends, dear relations, bodies, children, and very lives and hearts are all dedicated only to you? Wow. This is such an amazing verse again by Lord Brahma, who is speaking that what could be a better reward than you anywhere else in the world? So for a devotee, the best Krishna is one's life and soul. There is no better wealth, there is no more better hankering for a devotee than Krishna himself. A pure devotee is not aspiring for a better job, better health, better family, better this, better wife, better children, or better promotion. No, the best reward is Krishna himself. Now, in Sanskrit, there is something called uh, like Kim Utaka Nyaya. If a person like Putana, who disguised herself as a devotee, she came to kill Krishna. And there's a famous verse actually. Aho bakiham sthanakalakutam. She put the kalakuta, the most deadly poison, on her breast. Aho bakiham sthanakalakutam jigham saya apyayat api asadvi. She was asadvi. She was not sadvi. Sadhu, sadvi. Asadvi means non-devotee. She disguised herself as devotee, but internally she was a non-devotee. Lebhe gatim dhatrim uchitam tatonyam kam va dayalu sharanam rajema. To that person who came to kill you, my Lord, you gave that person the position of a nurse, a mother. What would you give? What would you give to the people who have given up their life and soul to you? We cannot imagine. It's like, someone who fails the exam gets a Nobel Prize. What would be the destination of someone who is sincerely studying for the exam and is someone who is the worst of the worst gets the best of the best? What would be the destination of those who are sincerely trying? That's what Lord Brahma is speaking. Well, Putana was a non-devotee who disguised herself as a devotee, and all her family members also, Agasur, Bakasur, Trinavrat, so many demons, they got very high destinations, which great. So what is left? I mean, what else one could give? So basically, this is like the mercy of the Lord, that the Lord sees only the good. Lord saw that Putana has come to feed me milk. And therefore, there are multiple reasons why the Lord closes the eyes. One of the reasons is the Lord sees only the good. So he closed the eyes, that forget about all the bad, I'll just accept the milk. I'll just accept the what good she has to offer. Forget about all the bad. So that's the beauty of the Lord. That's the mercy of the Lord. So that means there is hope for all of us, that we may be, we may have done whatever we may have done in the past. But if we sincerely take it, if there is hope for Putna, there is hope for us also. So that's the message. Any other comments or any additions in this text or questions? Okay, who has not yet read this week and is feeling really enthusiastic today to read? Please raise your hand. Thank you, Santa Mataji wants to read. Silas Prabhu and Vishal Prabhu. Okay. Yes, please. Santa Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance. Verse 36. Tava dragadaya stenas tatat tavat kara griham graham tavan moho nagri nigado yavat Krishna nate jana. Translation by the disciples of Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain thieves, their homes remain prisons, and their affectionate feelings for their family members remain foot shackles. Purport. Apparently, the residents of Vrindavana, the abode of Lord Krishna, are simple householders engaged in ordinary affairs such as herding cows, cooking, rearing children, and performing religious ceremonies. However, all these activities are intensely engaged in the loving service of Lord Krishna. The residents of Vrindavana perform all activities in pure Krishna consciousness and thus exist on the most exalted platform of liberated life. Otherwise, the same activities performed without Krishna consciousness constitute ordinary bondage to the material world. Thus, one should not misunderstand the exalted position of the residents of Vrindavana, nor should one consider oneself highly religious simply because one performs ordinary domestic affairs very enthusiastically but without Krishna consciousness. By focusing our passionate attachment on our family and society, we are completely deviated from the progressive path of Krishna consciousness. Conversely, if we engage our family in the loving service of the Lord, our endeavors to maintain our family become part and parcel of our progressive spiritual duties. In conclusion, by studying the extraordinary status of the residents of Vrindavana, we can see that the essential quality of their lives is pure Krishna consciousness, the rendering of loving service to the Lord without a trace of material desire or mental speculation. Such loving service to the original personality of Godhead immediately creates the atmosphere of Sri Vrindavan Dham, the kingdom of God. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading this such a wonderful verse. So Lord Brahma is speaking in this verse that people have desires, families, homes, affectionate feelings for relatives, friends, job, business, all these things everyone has. But if one is not a devotee, then all those things will pull one down further in the material shackles. The desires are compared to thieves. All the attachments and desires remain thieves. What do thieves do? Thieves plunder. Thieves steal. So the desires basically steal our wealth, steal our intelligence, steal our good qualities, the bad desires, right? The bad desires will steal all these things. But when the same propensities, whether it is home, whether it is family, whether it is affectionate dealings, whether it is the desires, if all that is dovetailed, yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yat juhosi dadhasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we offer or give away, one must do as an offering to me. Then that thing becomes spiritual. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say that when I enter home, I enter Vaikuntha. I feel I am entering Vaikuntha, where there is no more Kuntha. There is no more misery. Otherwise, there is padam padam vipadam, danger at every step. But for a devotee, one who has taken shelter of the pada of of ya charanar vindam, who has taken the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, then padam padam yad vipadam natisham. That person is not troubled by troubles at every step. One devotee gives this nice example. Bhavan. Home is also referred to as Bhavan in Hindi or Sanskrit. But if we take the bha out of Bhavan, so the first word bha, then it is only one. And one means forest. And in forest, who live? Animals. And they fight with each other. The tiger and the deer and other different animals. So the bha is basically the bha of Bhagavan or bha of bhakti or bha of bhakta. Bhakti, Bhagavan and bhakta, where they are present, that is real bhavan. If bhakti, Bhagavan and bhakta are not present, that is one or forest. So the real home is a home where Krishna is present, devotees are present, and devotional activities are present. Chanting, reading, hearing, deity worship, offering bhoga to the Lord, inviting devotees to home, offering prasadam, serving the deities, having a congenial environment, doing our work in an honest and dutiful manner, then all those things are no more bondage. They become, in fact, a gateway to back home, back to Godhead. The same work. Dharma sunishtita pumsam vishwak sena katha suya nautpedye didiratim samsiddhir haritoshanam. Sorry, nautpedye didiratim shrama evahi kevalam. That's if all those things does not awaken love for Krishna, then it is futile. But what is the topmost dharma? The topmost dharma is samsiddhir haritoshanam, to please Krishna. So otherwise, the same activities performed without Krishna consciousness constitute ordinary bondage. They will plunder us, the desires, the family, the desires, and other so-called affection. It will, even in so-called relatives, very few there is genuine relative. Brothers and brothers killing each other over property. This is not a fairy tale. This is happening in this world. We may all have heard cases in our, acquaintance and certainly in the newspapers. Brothers fighting, blood brothers fighting. Why? Lack of Krishna consciousness. If there is Krishna consciousness, then the whole world becomes this universal brotherhood. Whole world can be Vaikuntha. So that is the prayer of Lord Brahma. Anyone else? Any other comments or questions? Okay, Ansilas Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Dandavad Pranam, everyone. Text 37. Prapancham nisprapanchopi vidambayasi bhutale prapanna janatananda sandoham pratitum prabho. Prabhuji, could you please? Thank you. Translation and purport by the devotees or disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear master, although you have nothing to do with material existence, you come to this earth and imitate material life just to expand the varieties of ecstatic enjoyment for your surrounded devotees. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura points out that just as lamp does not seem to shine as brightly in sunlight as it does in the shade, or as a diamond does not beam as brilliant on a silver platter, as it does on a plate of blue glass, the Lord's pastimes as Govinda do not seem as amazing in the transcendental abode of Vaikuntha as they do within the material realm of Maya. Lord Krishna comes to the earth and acts towards his pure devotees exactly like a devoted son, boyfriend, husband, father, friend, and so on. And within the darkness of material existence, these brilliant liberated pastimes give unlimited ecstasy to the surrendered devotees of the Lord. In his Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada quotes Lord Brahma as follows: I can also understand that your appearance as a small cowherd boy, a child of the cowherd men, is not at all a material activity. You are so much obliged by their affection that you are here to enthuse them with more loving service by your transcendental presence. This beautiful verse is telling us about Krishna, who's so merciful that he's coming to this miserable Dukkale Mashashvatam world just because he loves his devotees so much, and to protect them from the miscreants and give pleasure by loving pastimes like he is right now in Vrindavan when Brahmaji is surrendering to him. So Brahmaji is saying how though this world is full of misery, the Lord is coming here, and the example we hear that Prabhupada usually quotes is like the Prime Minister going to prison. Just because he is visiting the prison, he's not a prisoner. And he doesn't have to wear the clothes of the prisoners or follow the rules of the prison house and go through the miseries that the prisoners have to go through. He's coming to give some mercy to the prisoners by his presence. So similarly, when the Lord comes, he's not bound by the three modes of material nature, where everybody is like a puppet for those three modes, but the Lord is actually controlling those three modes, and he's not affected by that. And another example we hear is how when there are, for people who wants to think that Krishna is an ordinary person, ordinary jiva, Krishna even gives mercy to them to think that way, because we know when during his disappearance pastime, he arranged so that a hunter would send a bow and there is blood coming out of his foot. We know that he even got blood coming out when during the chivalrous pastimes of with Bhishma, when he was shooting arrows at him. But that is all just to bewilder the people who think his body is not Satchitananda, is just a material body. But actually the Lord is just using Yoga Maya to show that, and actually the Lord is Satchitananda. And Dr. Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice. So the Lord comes to show a trailer of the whole movie. In spiritual world, his Nitya Lila is going on, but he comes time and again. Why? For our benefit, so that the conditioned souls of this world can see a trailer and be attracted to go back home, to their real home, real happiness, and understand their true position as Krishna's part and parcel, as their eternal servant. So that's one of the main reasons, Paritranaya Sadhunam, to give pleasure to the devotees, Vinashaya Chadush, that's secondary. Prahlad Ahlad Dadaine, the one who gives pleasure to the Lord, to the devotees. and to expand the varieties of ecstatic enjoyments of your surrendered for your surrendered souls or devotees. So variety is the mother of enjoyment. We discussed that. Silas Prabhu coordinated that Prabhupada Katha for us about 2-3 weeks back. So sometimes as a friend, sometimes as a brother, sometimes as a son, as a cowherd boy, as a boyfriend, as a father, as a lover, as a so many relationship Krishna uh, has with his surrendered devotees. Why? To give joy. He is Atmaram, but to give joy to his devotees, he expands in those moods and relations. That's the main reason he comes. Not because he's also one amongst us, not because he's also experiencing the quota of his karma, which many people think like that. It's all nonsense. All his activities are transcendentals. Janma, karma, cha, me, divyam. Divyam means transcendental. His birth, his activities, his pastimes, his stealing is transcendental. His running away from the battlefield is transcendental. There is no tinge of material aspect in that. Okay, any other comments? Anyone has any questions?
Yeah, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, Krishna comes this material world and does his lila with different devotees as in different relationship. But same thing happens also in the spiritual world, right? Same way he does his lilas over there with the devotees as their sadhana, rash, whatever we say.
Yes. Is that a comment? Yes.
So just to make sure that because you came to this earth and imitate the material life. So material life means here it is showing that he's doing like a family person or those things, but this same relationship also there. So this is actually not a material life, like because it's a spiritual life here, also spiritual life there.
Yeah, from his perspective, everything is spiritual, but from our perspective, or a less intelligent person, it may seem, no, Krishna is also acting like an ordinary boy. Oh, Krishna is also acting like an ordinary husband. Sometimes he acts like an ordinary person. Oh, I can't lift the sandals of my father, they are too heavy. He will lift Govardhan Hill for 7 days and 7 days, but he had a very tough time to lift the sandals of his father. So it may seem he's an ordinary. That's how Brahmaji got confused. He's playing like an ordinary boy with his friends. Brahmaji got confused. That's the whole thing. And then that's from Brahmaji's perspective. He's saying, oh, you seem to be imitating ordinary boys. Ordinary, the boys play. They eat from each other's plate. The Krishna was doing that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Maybe Ramya Prabhu can answer that. I think
so Krishna comes to this material world to attract us and to show us what the life is like, how he interacts with his devotees in the spiritual world. So these activities are not exclusively to the material world. In the spiritual world, very similar activities go on. And they go on perpetually, continuously, day after day. And they remain ever fresh. So like, if we have to have the same breakfast every day, they complain after 1-2 days. Why are you giving me the same thing? But for the devotees, whenever they're doing different things for Krishna, Krishna's Yoga Maya makes it fresh, new, never experienced before. So it's very attractive. And Krishna, we have to see also, what is Krishna doing here? He is giving himself to his devotees. So in the previous verse there, the first verse today, we saw how Krishna Lord Brahma is describing how Krishna is giving himself to Putana, but he's giving himself also to his devotees. And so when he analyzes that, Lord Brahma says, because there is nothing higher, nothing greater, or he would definitely give it to the Brajavasis than giving himself. So he gives him very self. So Krishna is completely the object of everyone's affection and object of everyone's bhakti in the spiritual world, and completely satisfying. No distractions, no other things come to their mind, come to their interest. It is all simply Krishna. Does that help you?
Thank you. I think Govind Prabhu mentioned this point that there are Nitya Leelas and there is Naimitik Leela. So the killing of the demons, that happens here. Well, of course, the devotees also, like, Shishupal, Dantavakra, Kashipuranyaksha, we know the whole story, I've read it multiple. They are Krishna's devotees only who come as, why? Because the Lord wants to experience the rasa of chivalry. So for those, he comes here. In spiritual world, those pastimes are not there. And therefore, I think one day what Prabhupada disciples named is Bhavananda Prabhu. So Bhavananda, the happy in this bhava, the word used is in this verse also is coming Bhutala. Bhutala is same as Bhu, Bhava. So happy in this material world. So he asked Prabhupada that material world is, this is Dukkha Sagar. How can one be happy? And they said, by preaching Krishna consciousness, one can be happy. So that service is the rare opportunity in the material world only. You cannot preach in spiritual world, because in spiritual world, whom will you preach to? Everyone is a devotee only. Everyone is a pure soul. So there are certain special criteria in this material world. So that doesn't mean that we have to stay here. Of course, if Krishna wants, then devotee is happy here. But we should try to make the best of it by purifying ourselves and sharing as much as we can. Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice comments. Okay. Any Matajis would like to read who have not read for this week? Raise your hand if you are interested and you have not read this week. Okay. Anyone who has not read the last couple of days and wants to read? Prabhu? Okay. Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Text 38. Janata eva janantu kim bohu name prabha manasya vapusha vacha bhaibhav tava gochara. Translation and purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada and Jai Srila Prabhupada's disciple. Translation. There are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. Oh my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. Purport. This translation is quoted from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila, chapter 21, text 27. Hare Krishna. So here we can see Brahma's, Lord Brahma's, he has so much humility, and that he is saying that he cannot even understand. He's beyond his mind, body, and words, Krishna's opulences. So I mean, that he showed, Krishna showed him his opulences, that he converted himself to all the millions of gopas, cows, calves. So that's his opulences. And Prabhuji was saying that his opulences, he was carrying the whole Govardhan by his left hand, the weakest point of the body, as materially concerned. The left fifth finger, but he was not able to even lift his father's shoes. So Brahma here is saying that it's beyond his ability to understand Krishna's opulences. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you. He said, okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So Brahmaji, the topmost creator of this world, the chief creator, with 4 heads, the body made up of intelligence only, is speaking this. Sometimes, some people in India, they may say, well, I know Krishna, I am Yadav. I am from the Yadukul. Look at my surname, Yadav. I know everything about Krishna. So just by having the surname of Yadav doesn't mean that one who actually knows about Krishna understands that I know nothing about Krishna. I was hearing some lectures on the holy name. One who actually chants purely, like Haridas Thakur, was feeling that I am not chanting nicely. My mind is diverted, but one who feels, oh, I am a great chanter. Oh, I am a great devotee. Oh, I know everything about the Lord. Oh, I know all the shlokas. Oh, I know. That person knows nothing. So Lord Brahma is saying, okay, I am not even concerned. I don't know how to talk about themselves. But I can only speak for myself that I am a fool. That I don't know anything. And we have to keep in mind the context of this whole prayers. The context of the whole prayers is just after the Brahma Vimohan Leela. So he is fully repentant of his mistake of trying to test the Lord, test his own master. So we see a lot of wonderful lessons. And this is again an important verse. And as I said, there are about 400-500 verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as it is. Like 3-4 are from this chapter. We just saw, like, this is the 3rd one, I believe. So, Manasa, Vapu, Vacha. Again, this BMW comes multiple times. Body, mind, and words. Manas is mind. Vapu is body, and Vacha means word. Uvacha. So, Hrid, Vak, Vapu. In text 8 also he said that. Hrid, Vak, and Vapu. Hrid again referred to as mind. Vak is words, and Vapu again body. So with our body, mind, and words, we cannot try to understand Krishna or his pure devotees. We try to speculate or do our own whims and fantasies, and then we will just be deluded. So only through bhakti, we can try to just follow the footsteps of great souls and just render devotional service. Anyone else? Any comments, questions, additions? Okay. It's almost time for today. So we have a few more verses in this chapter. Actually, 2 more. And then the Srila Shukadev Goswami begins to speak. So we can cover these 2 verses and the translations of the remainder of the chapter, because we won't be able to complete the chapter. But the prayers of Lord Brahma are till text 40. So what we will do tomorrow, we'll study 39 and 40. and we will read the translations of the remaining verses. So in that way, tomorrow is the last day of Purushottam, and it will officially complete our this chapter as well. And from Monday onwards, actually Sunday onwards, we will start reading the fresh canto 8 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And there could be a surprise Kahoot also for chapter 15 of Canto 7, the last chapter. We didn't have a quiz. So I encourage everyone to please go skim through the chapter. There are 80 verses. It's a pretty long chapter. And the Kahoot could be on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or Monday. So in these 4 days, it will be one day. So, okay, so please take out some time, at least read the translations. Anything else before we stop?
Prabhuji, can I ask a question about our Purushottama Yoga chapter? Since we have been reading it for a month, a few things I just want to clear. So the first, can I ask it? Is it okay to ask?
Yeah, we have so many wonderful Vaishnavas on this call. That's the best time to ask.
And thank you, Prabhuji. So in the first verse, Kṛṣṇa says about the banyan tree, which is imperishable. And then in the second verse, the third verse, he says to cut down the tree with the weapon of detachment. So how can we understand that?
Ramya Prabhu, do you want to answer that?
Well, this is the material world and all the interactions of the modes of nature. It's very complicated. It's like a banyan tree. You cannot tell where it started from, right? If you ever see a banyan tree, I saw a picture on the internet. I guess it was the biggest banyan tree. It's covered like 15 acres, one tree, and so you can't tell what was the first trunk of the tree. There are just so many trunks, and they all the branches intertwine and go here and there, and everything looks like one huge tree. So the material world is like that. You cannot just dissect it and understand spiritual knowledge just by trying to dissect the material world. It only comes by hearing from Kṛṣṇa in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad-Bhāgvatam. And when that hearing has to be of the quality of a surrendered soul who is following Kṛṣṇa. Otherwise, that knowledge is still not made available to him. That we see if those in the 15 chapters repeated how those who are not surrendered, they can't understand this knowledge. So why is that? Kṛṣṇa is in the heart, and Kṛṣṇa is the super soul. So from him come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So he provides that knowledge when he's pleased by the person's sincere efforts. But otherwise, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, he chooses to keep himself hidden. And the material nature is so involved and intricate, and the interactions are so much that no one can understand Kṛṣṇa. So even here, like today, Brahma is saying, I've seen your pastimes. I saw the cowherd boys and calves I stole them, and then you replaced them, and I was totally bewildered. I couldn't understand them, and I was participating in them. So what to speak of ordinary folks, ordinary people who are not your devotees, who can understand? Does that help in any way?
Yes, Prabhuji, very nice points. It's also mentioned that the trees, the actual trees in the spiritual world, and what is in the material world are some roots and branches which are inverted and coming there. So how I took it was, we are cutting those roots that are in the material world, but not actually cutting the tree that's in the spiritual world. Is that a good understanding? Just going with the allegory or the metaphor to understand the banyan tree a little more?
Well, actually, the description is that what we see is not the tree itself, but when we see a tree, I have some interesting pictures. I have the tree reflected on the water. It may look real, and yet everything is upside down. The roots are going up and the branches are coming down. So everything seems inverted. So when you have real knowledge, then you know where is the real tree and how to take advantage of that tree. But when you don't have knowledge, then everything is upside down and unclear.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
So here in this material world, everything is illusory. And that illusion is what is capturing the conditioned soul. He is thinking that whatever happiness he's getting is going to be his satisfying permanent happiness. You know, but he gets his $1,000 and then he spends it the next day and it's gone. He has to get it again. Or he gets maybe he marries the person of his dreams. But then after some time, he finds that person grows old and is no longer that dream person anymore. The body becomes old and wrinkled and changes. No longer the youthful, attractive body that they were so attracted to. So this is the nature of the spiritual. It's illusion. All the attractions are attractions to illusion. And they're not the real thing. And Krishna says, give up that attraction to illusion and be attracted to the real thing, which is me in the spiritual world, Krishna says. Be attracted to me and my spiritual activities. And that, by worshiping me, you will get complete satisfaction, complete bliss.
I'm sharing that picture. I think you were looking for that. Are you able to see my screen? So this is the inverted banyan tree. This is the real. So all these, the Vedic hymns are considered as the leaves, pious acts, impious acts, getting different types of eyes, ears, bodies, animal, lizard, and going upper planets, lower planets. So all this is compared to the inverted banyan tree. And that's Prabhuji explained. So we have to get rid of all this and go here back home, back to Godhead. As Krishna mentioned, thereafter one should search to go to a place, having attained, there is no return. Yad gatva nanivartanti.
So is Brahma?
You know all the Vedas now because you understood this.
If I understood, one who understands that in text 19 says one becomes a pure devotee. One who's really doing bhakti understands that.
Thank you for your question. And thank you, Ramya Prabhu, so much for your explanation.
So just one question on this picture. So Brahma is at the top of the inverted tree?
Yes, he's in the topmost planet of the material world called Satyaloka.
Okay.
But here, Brahma is saying, I don't know anything. Don't take me as being a great scholar because I don't understand you, Krishna, at all. So he's telling you, you know, don't. He's developed real humility. You know, he's claiming he doesn't know anything, which is, who can know Krishna? But here in the material world, people hear Radha and Krishna and they think, oh, I will have my Krishna or I will have my Radha. I don't need Krishna. And that becomes the illusion more and more. And what is the result? One body after another, one suffering after another. And as you grow older, the suffering becomes clear, how much suffering there is in the material world.
So Suryadev, Indradev, Ganesha, Gandharvas, all these people are there.
Prabhuji, sorry, one more question. So that is in chapter 15, 9th verse, in the translation, there is a word which are grouped about the mind. Is that a typo? Shouldn't it be above the mind? Or so the senses are below them. I don't understand. Grouped about the mind.
About means the mind is there, and from the mind manifests the senses. The senses are what the mind uses to engage itself with the sense objects. So the senses are constructed, are given to a living entity according to his mentality. Your senses are a little different than mine. For example, what foods you find very attractive will not be the same as mine. And so many other things will be different between, even though they're small differences, still they're differences because the mind is different. And the body is therefore different, and the senses are therefore different. So the senses are grouped around this mind. And the mind is what creates all the attraction and the attachment. And it then uses the senses to engage in his sense gratification.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So it's a gradation, right? The mind controls the senses. So that's why I was thinking, shouldn't it be the mind is above the senses? But what you're saying is the senses are acting what the mind wants to do, and that's what's said by the about the mind. In the way the senses are acting, it's actually showing what's in the mind.
Yes, that's one part of it. And the other part is that when the living entity gets a material body, the senses reflect the state of mind he is, the type of mind, what is his mind. Because the mind doesn't get changed between one body and the next. We take that mind with us. So whatever the position of that mind, then the senses become. So like in the mind, he is attracted, oh, let me eat meat. So then the senses are formed so that they enjoy that meat and become like a tiger. And his food becomes meat, and then he's quite happy living like that. Like I remember one person was sitting in the lecture Prabhupada was giving. I think maybe it was in Mexico City or somewhere. And Prabhupada was describing, how terrible it was to become a dog. And this man objected. He said, "Oh, why are you criticizing dog life? I would like to be a dog." And Prabhupada said, gave him the blessing. All right, you can become a dog. If you think the dog's life is so good, then you can become a dog. Because his mind was already focused on how enjoyable it is to live the life of a dog. So naturally, that will be his next destination.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very clear.
If you see, Prabhuji, the word used is adhisthaya. So just in the translation, adhisthaya means being situated in. So again, the chariot analogy we have discussed multiple times that so certainly mind is above. So the senses and adhisthaya, other places is used in being taking shelter of. Basically, senses that have taken shelter of the mind, or taken possession of, or situated. That's how different usages are there. So again, if the mind is good, then they are in right hands. If the mind is bad, they're in wrong hands. So
Thank you, Prabhuji.
thank you.
And when the mind is spiritual, then the senses become spiritual.
Okay, so I guess we will pause here for today and continue tomorrow with the next verses and then the weekend special classes. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Namo Namo.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.